Hello and warm welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here, and today we are going to discuss about various different current affairs. We'll be reading about 3D printing technology and supernova, both coming from GS3 Science and Tech, as well as multidimensional poverty, very important for our GS1 and 2. The lakes of the world, all of these are coming from geography, island in South China Sea, so we'll tackle these also. A question came in 2022 from here in prelims. Lakes of the world, it has been asked various times, both in 2022 and 23. All right. And then Meti Pangals, we'll see who are they, what is their social importance. All right. So let's move further to the first news. India's first 3D printed post office. So when such news come, you can just make a single line note that where this has been built. All right. So this has been built in Bangalore or Bengaluru. So India's first 3D printed post office was virtually inaugurated by Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav in Bengaluru's Cambridge layout on Friday, that is August 18th. Its construction was completed in just 43 days. So this is one major milestone, 2 days ahead of the deadline. Multinational company L&T, that is Larsen and Toubro Limited, built the post office with technological support from IIT Madras. So these three things have to be remembered. I'll highlight them again. Alright, so first 3D post office in Bangalore with L&T and IIT Madras. So these are the things that can be asked in smaller exams apart from UPSC, let's say. UPSC can also ask this directly, that where has it been inaugurated. Alright, so don't trust UPSC much that what it can ask and cannot ask. Previously in 2016 it's asked about banana tree. Alright. And that 11-meter long banana tree where it has been found. So it can ask anything and everything. So please take a note. Okay. So under the guidance of Professor Manu Santhanam, building technology, this is not important. All right. So this is what 3D technology is, or 3D printing is. So these are small topics. All right, such as let's say 3D printing. So what we often do, we just ignore them completely. That 3D printing, okay, we know things about these. What instead should be done is to take, let's say, make a half page note on 3D printing. That first started by whom, when it was started, what has been the development like, where it is used, what are the applications, and what is the material that are used in this. All right, and what are the modern applications. Okay, especially in, let's say, healthcare. In 2023 also titanium dioxide question came. All right, that rutile and they are used in the toothpaste. So we already solved this question, you might be remembering. Okay, rutile and limonite. Okay, so the technology invented in 1980s, 3D printing burst into the mainstream around 2010s, when many thought it would take over the world. So why is HAT not taken over the world yet? So there are some reasons for it. It is right now slow and expensive. Slow as well as expensive. The printers itself cost upwards in lakhs. All right. And the applications have not been discovered to be much useful except in the case of, let's say, some very special fields. The technology, however, at the time was expensive, slow, and prone to making errors. In recent years, some of these flaws have been done away with. Okay, these are the phrases which are used in English. So, done away with. So, done away means that this thing has been ended. You can use this in simple conversations as well, such as, are you done away with the dinner? Okay, so in recent years, some of these flaws have been done away with, making 3D printer more prevalent than ever before. For instance, it has been used in automotive and aerospace sectors to make parts of cars and rockets respectively. There was one experiment related to this also which failed very recently. Some company, made a full rocket on 3D printing. But unfortunately, it failed. All right. So which technology is also known as additive manufacturing? All right. So this 3D technology. Why? Because it adds up layers over layers and make it 3D. You must have all seen 3D printing by now in one way or other. So what it does, basically the printer works on X by axis and Z axis also. So it makes layers. All right. Layers over layers. Like this. And it keeps making layer until the thing becomes a whole or 3D. It is also a very simple method to understand that all the shapes that we used in our common life, day-to-day life, they are all a function or addition of layers. In mathematics, we always see such as, let's say, the cone. So how we see the cone, that integration of various different circles or plates where the radius ranges from r to eventually 0. Alright, we integrate the area and get an area of cone. So this is how you can understand 3D printing. It's very simple and easy concept. So 3D printing is being used in a host of different industries like healthcare, automobile and aerospace. So this is one example. At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the healthcare industry used 3D printing to make much needed medical equipments like swabs, face shields and masks, as well as the other parts to fix their ventilators. Alright, let's move further to the second news, which concerns with the multi-dimensional poverty. So multi-dimensional poverty, again we are seeing multiple dimensions. In the 3D printing, we also see 3D, that means 3 dimensions. So let's say, what are other dimensions to poverty other than the basic dimension, that is income? Whenever we say somebody is poor, let's say, what do we mean? That he doesn't have much income or he doesn't have enough money. So multidimensional poverty, let's say, would add few more dimensions to this observation. So what are those dimensions? Let us see. There's a data, we'll read it. So the heading with which the news came in newspaper was the new non-poor. So PM Modi said on the 15th August speech that 13.5 crore Indians have been lifted from the poverty as per the multidimensional poverty index, and they have become a new member of the middle class. So we'll see this. So what the poverty data show, let us see this also, this graph, before we proceed. Just a second. All right. So poverty head count ratio, this definition should also be known, that what is poverty head count ratio. All right, poorest among large states. Let's see. So the dark blue one shows NFHS 5 while it shows 4. That means the bluer one is the progress. So decrease, 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 decrease. So there's a decrement largely seen. All right, very good decrement is seen in, let's say, Bihar, Odisha, all these states, Rajasthan. So let us see what it shows. So 13.5 crore number cited by PM appears in the second NFHS Multidimensional Poverty Index report that was published by Niti Aayog. The first such report was published in 2021. The 2023 edition of the index uses data from the latest round of the National Family Health Survey and captures changes in multidimensional poverty between the survey periods. So basically the observation is that multidimensional poverty has been reduced between two NFHS data, like the 4 and the 5. Alright, so the poverty headcount ratio. So this definition, please remember and note down. The proportion of multidimensionally poor in the country fell from about 25% to just under 15% between the two rounds of NFHS. So this is a statistically significant data. Please note down this definition as well as this statistics, that 15% from 25%. We'll also see what is multidimensional poverty. So in absolute terms, this implies that 135 million or 13.5 crore Indians escaped multidimensional poverty during this period. Okay, so what is the Multidimensional Poverty Index, MPI, and how does it estimate poverty? This is a very important thing. Poverty estimation. So whenever you are dealing with topics such as, let's say, poverty, what you must focus on is what are the definition of poverty, how to define poverty, how global indexes define poverty or global organizations define poverty, what are the types of poverty, all right, and how has been poverty determined in our national context in India, what are various committees, lines such as Tendulkar line, all right. So we'll see those also, Rangarajan committee, etc. We'll see those. And moreover, what is multidimensional poverty, why it was invented or let's say formed, and what does it cater to or capture. So we'll see all these things. Let us move forward and see. So the national MPI measures deprivation across the 3 dimensions of health and nutrition, education and standard of living. So there are 3 dimensions. We saw the 3D printing as well. So 3 dimensions are what? Health and nutrition. Health as well as nutrition. Second is education. And third is standard of living. Standard of living. So within health, it tracks 3 variables further: nutrition, child and adolescent mortality, and maternal health. Alright. In education, it tracks 2 variables: years of schooling and school attendance. And in standard of living, it tracks 7 variables such as sanitation, drinking water, bank account, etc. So please make a mind map or note of these things, that there are primarily 3 sectors, 3 dimensions, and then from these 3 dimensions, how many things are being measured. The question can come such as which of these is not a part of the multidimensional poverty index. Alright, and you may have to tick. From 15th Finance Question Commission, the same type of question came this year also. So please be aware of this type of questions, they can come. The index is based on the methodology used by Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, that is OPHI, and United Nations Developmental Program, that is UNDP, to construct the global MPI. OPHI and UNDP are technical partners in the formulation of the national index. So what is here to say, but India's MPI is not exactly the same as the global MPI. Okay, for instance, India's MPI has 12 variables while the global MPI has 10. The 2 additional variables in India's MPI are maternal health and bank account. So bank account, of course, due to the recent, let's say, economic inclusion drive, especially Jan Dhan Khata, many accounts were opened very recently, and this would have contributed positively to this MPI. That is also an affecting factor. All right. So let us see the data MPI progress report 2023 between 4 and 5. So let us see this. Okay, steep decline in poverty headcount ratio. Poverty headcount ratio is what? Poverty as per MPI. Simple. The number of poor as per the MPI. So UP, Bihar, MP, Odisha and Rajasthan recorded steepest decline in number of MPI poor. UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Rajasthan. So the central Indian region mostly. So what does it say about this region? You figure out and tell me in the comment section. 135 million people escaped multidimensional poverty, MPI. Alright, so 13.5 crore people. And steep decline in poverty headcount ratio. Reduction in the incidence of poverty in urban areas. Alright, so please you can note down this data and remember and try to figure out what pattern does it show, that most of the states which shown a steep decline in the poverty headcount ratio, but basically from central Indian region. Okay, let us see one more thing, that how has poverty been estimated in India traditionally. So from the time of Dadabhai Naoroji, he was a very famous economist, grand old man of India. You must all be knowing. Just a second, let me change the pen color. Okay, so he released a book in 1901, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Alright, this un-British is a very famous term. So please see what does it mean. Okay, what was British, so-called British, and what was so un-British about the British rule in India. So poverty has been estimated using a monetary measure. Monetary measure, of course, poverty is related very much to the monetary means. The idea has been to arrive at amount of money that is considered necessary to either eat a subsistence diet or to achieve a minimum standard of living. So diet is related to Naoroji's approach, because what we can do with the money? What are the basic needs of a human? The basic need of a human is first of all food, then cloth, and then shelter. So if a person is able to maintain all these 3 things, he has clothes, he can eat, and he has a home to live, then that defines his standard of living. Furthermore, he can increase that how much expensive cloth he wear, what kind of food he eats, or how big is his home. But ultimately, wealth is defined by only these 3 things. Alright. Okay. So since data on income was difficult to collect, India used regular 5-yearly consumption expenditure surveys, which showed how many people were spending on consumption. So based on this data, several expert committees led by D.K. Lakdawala, Suresh Tendulkar, this is very important, and C. Rangarajan 2014, drew a poverty line. The line is the level of consumption expenditure that divides those who are poor from those who are not. India's last official poverty statistics are from 2011. The data have not been updated because the government junked the consumption expenditure survey of 2017-18. That survey showed a decline in rural consumption and as such pointed to an increase in abject poverty. Please note this down, although you cannot use it in answers because let's say anti-government answers. So we need to be very diplomatic in our approach and always look towards a way forward. Diplomatic plus good way forward. So never in your answers write criticizing things. These are data from newspaper, let's say. All right. So only when question is directly asking you that why abject poverty in India increase, so then you can, let's say, use this data, otherwise skip. Okay, so try to suggest a good way forward, that's all. Okay, so several economists have tried to work around the absence of consumption data by using NFHS data or data from think tank Center for Monitoring India's Economy, CMIE. So this is a very important organization, please read about it, as well as Niti Aayog, and provided estimates of poverty, but the uncertainty around the data continues to undermine a wide-ranging debate. So these are, this is very important news. So how you can use it? Okay, let me tell you. Just a second. Okay. So here we can see that, just a second. Okay, so brief topic, you can put poverty. And whenever you see any statistics or data or news, you just update your notes. But what should be the basic headlines in your topic? Let's say that what is poverty? What is abject poverty? What is relative poverty? What is the process of, let's say, cyclic poverty? As well as what are the reasons, national reasons for widespread poverty in India? Okay, technological development in agriculture, reliance on this and that. So you can all see that. Furthermore, way forwards. So these are the most important part of the answer or notes. So way forward, you should keep updating with the statistics also and try to figure out ways with which they can be solved. In the newspaper also very often in the last, a way forward is suggested that India can move out of abject poverty or India can take care of its middle class or the poor class by doing this or that. So note down these. If you are able to collect, let's say, way forward from 5-6 articles, then if you mix that and make your one paragraph way forward, then that would be very good for your final answer writing. All right. So in the next lecture, we'll be reading about supernova and all. So let's hop on. Keep studying. This is Yatharth here signing off. Thank you very much. Have a good day and be bright.